We are going to do another pregnancy prenatal yoga sequence. So I'll just call this sequence B. You can do sequence A and B together. You could do just A, just B, or you can mix different elements of each to create your own flow and practice. So we're going to start by centering. Again, you want to make sure you have your props handy, especially with prenatal. You want to make sure those props are available to support you so that you're not overstretching any area of the body. Sitting up nice and tall, you can sit on a blanket here if it feels better to have the hips elevated. Bring your awareness to your breath. Notice what the breath is telling you. Is your breathing rapid? Do you need to ground to slow down? Or is the breath shallow? Do you need to bring some energy in to the body? Our body is wise. It knows what it wants. We just have to listen to what it's telling us. We're going to move through a warm-up. Again, make any modifications that you need so that it feels good for you, it's supporting you, and protecting your baby. Opening the eyes if they're closed, we're going to come into table. We're going to flow through some cat and cow. The further along that you are, you may not want to come as deeply into cow. You may want to come back to table. You can still lift the head to stretch through the front of the throat though. That wrist should align with the shoulder. Fingers are nice and wide. On the exhale, start to round the back. Chin comes towards the sternum. Inhale, lifting the head, coming back to table or drop the belly as you open to cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow or table. And one more of each. Exhale and round. Inhale. Spine lengthens. Coming back to that neutral table, we're going to stretch through the wrists and hands. So go ahead and walk the fingers away from one another. Only turning the hands to where it feels good for you. You'll hold each breath or each posture for as many breaths as you want. So once you're familiar with the flow, you can create a shorter or longer practice just depending on how long you hold each posture and stretch. Bring those hands back around, fingers come in towards one another. And take those hands back out to where you started in table. Turn the left palm up, fingers facing you. Gently press on the back of the hand. Be mindful not to put too much pressure on the wrist. Turning that hand back over. Right palm turns up. And turning that hand back over. Sitting back on the heels. If at any time it does not feel good to sit on the heels, you can sit on a folded blanket, a bolster, or a block to elevate the hips. Lift both hands and rotate through the wrists. And reverse. And go ahead and release those hands. Come back onto the hands. We're going to tuck the toes. This is remove that block, very intense stretch through the toes and feet. If it's too intense at any time, just come back to the tops of the feet. You can keep the hands on the floor. You're gently pressing those hips back. If you want to deepen this stretch, go ahead and come up onto the knees. Sometimes you have to move those pinky toes. They don't like to turn on their own. And as you're here again, just take that moment to come back to your breath. Coming onto the hands, release the toes, tapping them on the floor. Lifting both feet, go ahead and rotate those ankles. And reverse. Lower the feet back down. We're going to tuck the toes again, and this time we're going to press up to downward facing dog. So we're going to drop that head. Hips are going to press up and back. Heels are reaching towards the floor. If they don't reach the floor, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Our bodies are all different. So no posture will look the same, and no posture will feel the same. Release tension from your neck. You can gently move the head. Making sure that you don't get dizzy whenever you are inverted, especially during that second, third trimester. So in down dog, you may feel that you want to lift your head often, and that's okay. Coming back down to table. And we're going to sit back on the heels. Just take a breath here. Slowly coming back up. And we're going to come back into a seated posture. Again, you may want to be on a blanket. Go ahead and take that right foot in front of the left. You may want your bolster or blocks nearby. So we're going to work on a hip opener. We're going to take the hands down and bring the body forward. Just come to the forearms here. And if it doesn't feel good to be on the blocks, you can just stay here on the palms. But you're leaning forward slightly. It should feel good. And you should feel it opening this right hip. Again, holding here for as long as you want. But we're going to press up and move on to the next side. So we're going to switch legs. Hands walk out in front of you. Either come to forearms on blocks or just hang out here on the palms. And we're going to walk back up. We're going to come into our seated open twist. You want to make sure that when you are doing any twisting postures in pregnancy, that you are not moving your lumbar and abdominal area. That twist needs to be concentrated from thoracic or rib cage up. So we're not overstretching or twisting this lower area. But we can still keep our spine healthy by doing some gentle twists in that mid to upper back. So you can be elevated here, but when we're elevated, we're going to not sit center on our block or bolster or whatever you're sitting on. You want it more under one side. And then we're going to take this leg and bring it back into like a frog. If it doesn't feel good, just keep it forward. And then this left foot on the floor, knee is bent. So first get centered and see how that feels. If you need to reposition that block a little bit, go ahead and do that. Foot can be in front of you, foot can be open to the side. Again, what feels good for you? The further along you are in your pregnancy, probably the wider your posture is going to be because it will feel better. Left hand is going to come across you. Right hand is going to come behind you. That twist is from here up. And you're going to exhale, look over that right shoulder. Taking that twist all the way up through that cervical spine, back of the neck. Holding here for as long as feels good. On your exhale, release through to center, and we'll switch sides. So left leg comes into frog. Shift that block to that left sit bone. Right foot flat, knee is bent. Feel situated first. Right hand comes across. Left hand reaches behind. Exhale, twisting left. Also, as you're getting further along, this arm may not want to cross over, so you just may want to just gently hug that bent knee. And exhale, release center. I'm going to take both of my legs back and reposition the block so that it's under both hips. If it doesn't feel good to sit in frog, then just go ahead and bring those legs back around in Baddha Konasana or easy pose. So whatever feels good. You may want to strap for this. We're going to take that right arm up, drop it behind the head. Left arm comes around the back. You're reaching fingers towards one another to create a bind. If the fingers aren't touching, that's okay. You can take your strap, drop it behind the head. Left hand reaches for it. Each time you're in a posture, give yourself that moment to come back to that body and breath awareness. Exhale and release, shaking out. We'll switch sides. Right arm comes up, drop it behind the head. Left arm reaches from, or right arm reaches from behind and up towards that left hand. Making sure you're not holding the breath. Allowing that continuous flow of breath in and out. Exhale, release, shake the arms out. Removing that block or blanket, you may want to grab your bolster, and we're going to press back to child's pose. Taking child's pose to where it feels good for you. So you may want the legs closer together with the belly resting on the thighs, or you may want a nice wide-legged child's pose. Chest coming down to a bolster and that belly kind of hanging out. That can really allow some pressure to come off of you and your organs. So it may feel really nice. Again, just play around with what feels good. Chin can rest on the hands, or you can turn the head to either side. Just really allow yourself to relax here. Release tension from the neck and shoulders. You can stay here for as long as you want. When you are ready to come up, inhale, pressing the hands into the floor as you lift. And close with a Shavasana, relaxation of some sort. Highly recommended. It will come in handy, especially after you have the baby. So bring your bolsters into a T formation. You don't ever want to lie flat on the back in pregnancy, especially the further along you are. So make sure you're elevated. One bolster will come across the mat. The other one comes on top, lengthwise. You'll take your lumbar or tailbone and place it in front of that block or bolster. Boy, you'd think I'm pregnant. I'm all messed up with my words. I've done that 3 times. I'm good. Just waiting for grandchildren now. So the feet can come together. And if it doesn't feel good to have the legs open like this, you can have a block under each leg to support it. You're going to walk yourself back. Spine and back of the neck and head are supported at all times. If you have 2 folded blankets, place them under the forearms for just a complete restorative, restful Shavasana. If it doesn't feel good to have the legs open, bend the knees, feet can be flat on the floor, or a bolster or blocks can go under the knees and you can extend the legs. And just come back to your breath here. As you get familiar with this flow, you can stay in Shavasana longer even after the practice has ended on the video. When you're ready to come out, bend the knees, feet on the floor, moving any props out of the way. And go ahead and roll to one side, using the hands to press yourself up. You can end it how we began, which is coming into a seated posture and focusing in on that breath. Releasing tension from the neck and shoulders. Take a nice deep breath in. And exhale through parted lips. Opening the eyes and move on in your day. Again, create a practice that works for you. Lengthen this one, shorten it, whatever feels good, whatever works with your schedule.